Ladies and gentlemen, in front of us we are given an expression to factorize. This is difference of two cubes because x cubed can be written as x times x times x, and 27 can be written as 3 times 3 times 3. And then to factorize this, we're going to open a small bracket and a big bracket. The first term there goes here. The first term here comes here. And then we always take the sign that is original in the first bracket. So is the difference. And then these signs will swap. So if this one is a minus, this one must be a plus. Okay. If this one was a plus, this one was going to be a minus. And the last sign is always a positive. Now, what is x times x? X times x is x squared. Then it comes here. What is 3 times 3? 3 times 3 is 9. Then it comes here. What is x times 3? X times 3 becomes 3x. And that is fully factorized. Let's go to 12. On 12, we have 5x cubed minus 40 y cubed. Ladies and gents, here we have the highest common factor of 5. So HCF equals to 5. Remember, before we factorize, we always have to take out the highest common factor. So taking 5 from the first term, we are going to be left with x cubed. And then there's a minus sign in between the terms. 5 goes 8 times into 40. So we're going to have 8y cubed. Now I need you to notice or recognize the difference of cubes inside the bracket, because x cubed can break into x times x times x, and 8y cubed will break into 2y times 2y times 2y. It's very important to know your cube numbers and your perfect squares. So now the 5, we leave it there, and then we open the bracket to factorize this bracket. So the first term is x. The second term is 2y. The original sign is minus y. The original sign always swap with the first sign in the second bracket, and the last sign is always a plus. And then what is x times x? X times x, so you just take this term, you times it by itself. So x times x is x squared. And then y times y, 2y times 2y, it's 4y squared. And then in between is just x multiplied by 2y. So x multiplied by 2y is 2xy. And that is fully factorized, ladies and gents. Okay, that is fully factorized. Now let's go to 13. 13, we have 2y to the 4 minus 1 to 8y. Notice that we have a highest common factor of 2y. So before you factorize, you must always start by factorizing the highest common factor. And then in the first term, 2 will cancel the 2. Y to the 4 divided by y will be y to the 3. And then 128 divided by 2 gives us 64. So we're going to have minus 64. The y will cancel the y. And then from here, we are going to have 2y. If you notice inside the bracket, we have difference of 2 cubes. Y cubed will break into y and y squared, because y times y is y squared. And 64 will break into 4. Then 4 times 4 is 16. Okay? Then the middle term is just y times 4. It's 4y. The original sign is a minus. They switch. So if it's a minus, this one becomes a plus. The last one is always a plus. And that expression is now fully factorized. Let's go to 14. On 14, we have t to the 6 minus 64. Notice that we have a difference of 2 squares here because t to the 6 can break into t to the 3 times t to the 3. And then 64 will be 8 times 8. And someone can argue that this is difference of 2 cubes. That is also correct. But I'm going to approach it with difference of 2 squares. So we open 2 brackets. And here notice that I didn't take out a common factor because there isn't. So t to the 6 breaks into t to the 3 and t to the 3. And then 64 breaks into 8 and 8. Then the sign switches for difference of 2 squares. All right. Now I need you to notice this. The first bracket is sum of 2 cubes. And the second bracket is a difference of 2 cubes. So now let's start with this guy here. T cubed will break into t, and then t times t is t squared. 8 will break into 2, then 2 times 2 is 4. Because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so we break it into cubes. And then the middle is t times 2, which is 2t. The original sign is a plus, then this one switches. The last one is always a plus. Now let's come with this guy. T cubed breaks into t, then t times t is t squared. 8 breaks into 2, then 2 times 2 is 4. Then 2 times t is 2t. The original sign is a minus, then this becomes a plus. The last one is always a plus. And that is fully factorized. Now let's go to 15, ladies and gents. So we have x squared minus 10x plus 5 plus 25. From this expression, you can see that here you have a 1, right, that we don't show. So what you do here, you list your a, which is 1, your b, which is minus 10, your c, which is 25. So the term on the coefficient of x squared is always a, the coefficient of x is b, and then the constant is c. So what you're going to do here, you always take a and c, you multiply them, which is 1 times 25, and the answer is 25, right? And then we need 2 terms that will multiply to 25 but add to negative 10. So we need to find factors of 25 that sum up to negative 10, and those are minus 5 and minus 5, because minus 5 plus minus 5 will give you minus 10. Minus 5 multiplied by minus 5 will give you positive 25. Then we're going to split the middle term into these terms. So the first term was x squared. The middle term will replace it with minus 5x and minus 5x. So when you add this, you still get minus 10x, then plus 25. Then let's see, now we're going to factorize by grouping. So the first 2 terms will go together. So I group them. It's x squared minus 5x. Then we have a minus, and then we group the second ones together, 5x. Because here we have a minus, this must be a minus, so that when we multiply, we'll still get a plus. So basically, in simple terms, if you have a minus outside, the last sign must always switch. So that becomes minus 25. And then in the first bracket, we can see that our highest common factor is x, and we're left with x minus 5. In the second bracket, we can see that our highest common factor is 5, then we're left with x minus 5. And then here we have a highest common factor, this guy and that guy. Let's take them out. So we take x minus 5 out. On the first term, we're left with x, and then on the second term, we're left with minus 5. And you can see that since the bracket are the same, we can write them as x minus 5 squared. And then that is fully factorized, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do 16. We have 4a squared plus 16a plus 16. We firstly need to notice that there's a HCF of 4. Let's take it out. Then we're going to have a squared plus 4a plus 4. And then you can see that, okay, ignoring the 4 for now, you can see that your number there is 1 and then the last one is 4. So you always times the first number and the last number. Then the answer is 4. Then we need to split it in such a way that when we multiply, we get the last term, the product, which is 4. When we add them, we get 4a. And those two terms is 2 and 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. Good. So we have a squared. Then we replace the middle with those two factors, which is 2a plus 2a. 2a plus 2a is still 4a. And then plus 4. Okay, let's put a square bracket. And then we group them. The first two together, the last two together. Here the sign won't change because the middle term is a plus. If the middle term was a minus, the last term sign must change. So we have 4. And then in the first bracket, we take a common factor of a out. We have a plus 2 left. In the second bracket, we take a common factor of 2. We have a plus 2 left. And then we can see that this is common on both. So we're going to have 4 in bracket. We take a plus 2 out. And then we have another a plus 2. And that is fully factorized. But if you want to, you can write it this way. You can say 4a plus 2 all squared. And that is factorized perfectly. Okay? So 17. We have 16y squared plus 56y plus 49. We take the first term and multiply with the last term, which is 16 times 49. So you take this number, you multiply with that number. And then our answer would be 784. And then we look for the factors of 784 that adds up to 56. And those are 28 by 28. And then we come and replace the middle term by those factors, which is 28y plus 28y plus 49. And then we group them, the first two together, the last two together. This sign will stay the same because this is a plus. Remember, if that was a minus, there were going to be a change. Then now, in the first bracket, the highest common factor is 4y. Then we're left with 4. Oh, sorry, this is squared, and I forgot to put a square there. So we're basically going to be left with 4y there. Then plus 7. Because 28 divided by 4 is 7, y and y will cancel. In the second bracket, the highest common factor is 7, which is remaining with 4y plus 7. Then we can take a common bracket out, which is y plus 7. So this bracket is common. So on the second one, we have 4y plus 7 left. Then this is basically 4y plus 7 squared. Okay. Now let's go and do 18. On 18, we have negative 20 xy plus 4y squared plus 25 x squared. We need to rearrange this because we need a square first. Ne? So I'll start with 25 x squared minus 20 xy plus 4y squared. And then I'm going to take the first coefficient, which is 25, and multiply it by 4. And that gives us 100. Right? And then I'm going to look for two factors of 100 that gives us negative 20. And we can see it's going to be negative 10 and negative 10. When you add negative 10 and negative 10, you get negative 20. So we're going to replace the middle term with those factors, which is minus 10xy minus 10xy plus 4y squared. Please notice that this is still minus 20xy. We haven't changed the meaning of the equation. Okay? Oh, sorry. So this part here we don't actually need. Now we group them. The first group will be 25x squared minus 10xy. Then I'm taking a negative out, so I have 10xy. Because I have a negative in the middle, this sign must switch, which is 4y squared. Okay? And then now, the first bracket, if you check properly, 25 and 10, the common factor is 5. Then x squared and x, the common factor is x. So the highest common factor is 5x. Then here we'll be left with 5x minus 2y. Then there, the highest common factor is 2 because between 10 and 4, the common factor is 2. X doesn't have a mate on the second term. Then between y and y squared, the common factor is y. So we're going to be left with 5x minus 2y. And that will give us 5x minus 2y, which is a common bracket, this one and that one. And then on the first term, we left with 5x. On the second term, we left with minus 2y. And this is yet another perfect square trinomial. So we can write it as that. Okay? Now let's go to 19. On 19, we have x squared plus 9x plus 20. We can't take out the highest common factor, it's already in the simplest form. So we take the first coefficient, which is 1, and multiply by the last. Our answer is 20. We're going to look for two factors of 20 that adds up to positive 9. And those factors are 4 and 5. And then we replace the middle term by 4x plus 5x plus 20. Please note that this is still 9x. We haven't changed the meaning of the expression. Now we group them. We have x squared plus 4x plus 5x plus 20. The last term doesn't, the sign on the last term doesn't change because you have a plus in the middle. And then if you check in the first bracket, our common factor is x. Then we're going to have x plus 4 left. And you can also always check. If you FOIL back, you must get this. So x times x will give you x squared. X times 4 will give you 4x. Okay? Plus the highest common factor, there is 5. Then we're left with x plus 4x. Let's take out the common bracket, which is x plus 4. I'm sure we can see that the first bracket will be left with x and the second one will be left with plus 5. And ladies and gentlemen, that is fully factorized. Now let's do 20. We have 2y squared minus 16y plus 32. First, there's a highest common factor of 2 there. You take it out. You're left with y squared minus 8y plus 16. And then now you ignore the 2 for now. You take, there's a 1 here. So it's going to be the first term, the first coefficient times the c. That gives us 16. We're going to look for two terms that multiplies to positive 16, but gives us negative 8 when we add them. And clearly that is minus 4 and minus 4. So we're going to break the middle term to y squared, and then we have minus 4y. Another minus 4y. Minus 4y minus 4 is still minus 8. Then plus 16. Then we're going to have 2 in bracket. We group them. Y squared minus 4y. We have a minus, so we're going to have 4y minus 16y equals to, you close the bracket. Ne? Remember, if this sign is a negative, this one must change so that when you multiply this and that, you still get that. And then, here, yes. Then now let's take out highest common factor. So we have a 2. In the first bracket, the highest common factor is y. So we're going to have y minus 4. In the second bracket, the highest common factor is 4. Then you have y minus 4. And then we have 2 in bracket. If you can check, y minus 4 and y minus 4 are common. So we take them out. Then we're going to have y minus 4 again remaining. And then someone can write it as 2y minus 4 all squared. But even if you leave it there, it's still fully correct. Thank you.